BillO'Reilly.com premium members, welcome to the No Spin News. Thursday, February 14th, 2019. Take your country back, and happy Valentine's Day, everyone. We have a nice time today. Joe Biden, as we predicted, running for president. It's going to be interesting. He'll be 80 by the time the election is held. 80. But Biden is the choice of the Democratic establishment. You may think it's the crazy left-wing socialists. It isn't. The real money people, Democratic Party, the Clintonistas, they call them, they want a moderate, and that's Biden. So William Barr also confirmed as Attorney General, and we're going to talk to Brett Tolman coming up. He knows Mr. Barr. So the big ideological story today is Andrew McCabe, the second in command at the FBI, was fired. There were all kinds of ethical violations. He's written a book. He's going to go on 60 Minutes. And I'm going to run you the clip that 60 Minutes put out. You might have seen it before. But I think it's instructive, and then I'll have some comments. So roll that tape.
I was speaking to the man who had just run for the presidency and won the election for the presidency, and who might have done so with the aid of the government of Russia, our most formidable adversary on the world stage. And that was something that troubled me greatly.
How long was it after that you decided to start the obstruction of justice and counterintelligence investigations involving the president?
I think the next day I met with the team investigating the Russia cases, and I asked the team to go back and conduct an assessment to determine where are we with these efforts and what steps do we need to take going forward. I was very concerned that I was able to put the Russia case on absolutely solid ground in an indelible fashion, that were I removed quickly or reassigned or fired, that the case could not be closed or vanish in the night without a trace. I wanted to make sure that our case was on solid ground, and if somebody came in behind me and closed it and tried to walk away from it, they would not be able to do that without creating a record of why they'd made that decision.
You wanted a documentary record.
That's right.
That those investigations had begun because you feared that they would be made to go away.
That's exactly right.
What a bunch of bull. It's just a bunch of garbage. And this goes to my point about the corrupt media. Look, McCabe and Comey and Strzok, we all know that story. And we're waiting, and I'm waiting as an American citizen, for Michael Horowitz's report. He is the Inspector General of the Justice Department, on how the FBI conducted this entire Russian collusion investigation. 25 months ago, more than 2 years ago, the Justice Department was instructed to have this investigation by its Inspector General. Where is it? Where is it? 25 months ago. And so you got a guy like McCabe, who may be indicted, running around peddling a book, just like Comey did, saying, oh, we thought this, we thought that. Well, let's see it. Let's see it. So tonight, and I'm not going to do it, if you turn on the cable news, you turn on MSNBC and CNN, they're going to convict Trump again of this. You turn on Fox, they'll defend Trump. I don't watch any of it. It's all garbage. A total waste of your time and the nation's time. We need to see the investigation launched into the FBI by Michael Horowitz. And President Trump is in charge of the Justice Department. Okay? Now, I know he knows what Horowitz has found out. Put it out there, Mr. President. Put it out there. Because this hurts the country. We all get this. The heavy odds are the FBI conducted an illegal investigation. Illegal. Into the Trump campaign. So Mueller and Mueller, you don't know when that's coming out. But Horowitz, 25 months? I mean, it just driving me nuts. I'm not saying this with any, I'm not saying or exonerating the Trump campaign. I'm not doing any of that. I want to see what you guys have. And 25 months is more than enough time, Inspector General Horowitz. And if the President of the United States knows what that report's going to say, then you got to get some of it out. This erodes the nation and sets up the partisan hacks in the media. All right. So Congress is going to pass the spending bill. There's a little money in it for 55 miles of border fencing. The President will sign the bill and then declare a state of emergency. That's what I'm being told. After he says the state of emergency on the southern border, then he's going to find money in various agencies to build what he wants to build. So that's what's going to come down. All right. Brett Tolman, T-O-L-M-A-N, Brett, former U.S. attorney for the District of Utah, is one of our featured guests here on the No Spin News. He's very smart. And he's an honest guy. He didn't come in with an agenda, which is what you're going to see all day long tonight. First of all, William Barr. You know William Barr?
I do. I've interacted with him. Back in 2003, I was a young attorney working on the Patriot Act, and he certainly had some, role in advising, having led the Department of Justice. Very bright. He's very bright.
You like the choice of Attorney General? Is he going to get in there and do a good job?
He will do a good job. A lot of confidence will be instilled in the ranks. I will tell you, he's strong. And what I mean by that is, and maybe you saw some of this in the hearings, he's usually intellectually superior in any discussion with somebody. Certainly that does provide arrogance at times, but it's hard not to be when you feel like you understand the statutes or you understand the system a little bit better, which I think Barr does. The other is, you saw him, they tried to push him into a position on recusal. He was incredibly strong on that. He said, no, it is my decision and mine alone. They said, would you go contrary to what the department recommended? And he said he would if he felt like that was the right decision. So you're going to get some strength in that position that you didn't see in sessions, certainly.
He's walking into a snake pit.
Yes.
25 months for the Inspector General issue report. That seems to me a very, very long time.
It's a long time. It's overdue. I wish it had preempted this charade that's going on with McCabe. And I can tell you, just having been in the department, watching what he's doing, and understanding the FBI and their role, several things that you heard in that clip you played, absolutely offensive to anybody that understands historical FBI and DOJ interaction. But aside from that, 25 months is too long. I like Inspector General Horowitz. I will tell you, though, he's not quite as independent as all the other agencies because of what DOJ, sort of the rules with the Inspector General. So I wouldn't put it past the department having been involved and perhaps, causing some issues or expanding that investigation or attempting to, I wouldn't say interfere, but would they influence the timing of that? They very well could.
Well, it's going to come right up against the Mueller thing. I mean, if Horowitz comes out and says the FBI did illegal things in investigating the Trump campaign, that pretty much knocks a lot of Mueller stuff right out.
Absolutely.
Yeah, I mean, because you're basically saying, look, the alleged criminal that gave Robert Mueller the information violated X, Y, and Z federal laws. I mean, come on. That gets thrown out like that in any court. Even the court of public opinion, if we had an honest press, which we don't. But I know that the President of the United States knows somewhat of what Horowitz has. All right? Because he would have to know, just talking to the acting Attorney General, Sessions when he was there, whatever, there are progress reports that are made. There are briefings, are there not?
Well, there are. I would have expected Rosenstein and Sessions to be very quiet and tight-lipped about that. I would expect that probably the first foray into receiving some information would have been with Matt Whitaker in the position.
Yeah, and but he can order them to tell him certain things. The president, bring me up to speed on X, bring me up to speed on Y, that kind of thing. Can he not?
Yeah, he can, and we forget that he's the head of the executive branch.
Yeah.
And certainly McCabe dismisses that when he does what he does or attempts to allege what he's doing. But Horowitz is interesting because he's not doing it for a book. He's not doing it to sell his position or to promote him in any way. He's more thorough than a lot of people probably would like, and that's my guess is that why it's taken so long.
All right. I understand he is an establishment player. I hope he's an honest man. Now, Rosenstein, he's out. He's leaving. But McCabe says that Rosenstein seriously offered to wear a wire in the presence of the United States. That's what McCabe... And again, McCabe's trying to sell his book. I don't blame 60 Minutes for putting him on, by the way. I mean, it's a big story. 60 Minutes will get ratings, and that's what they're in business to do. But I'm not sure that Scott Pelley, certainly no fan of Donald Trump, is going to really question McCabe the way he should be questioned. Maybe I'm wrong. We'll see. But from that clip, certainly he did not. But Rosenstein, if indeed he seriously said, as McCabe alleges in his book, that I'll wear a wire in front of when I talk to the President of the United States, is that a crime?
It very well could be, and I don't buy this discussion about the use of the 25th Amendment. I mean, I think it did occur. I think it came and was hatched by McCabe and others who already had Trump, regardless of what their political leanings were, already had him in the target. They used what they could to justify turning an investigation of obstruction of justice, Russian conspiracies regarding Russia. I think Rod Rosenstein probably did have those discussions, and they were serious, and they fit. If you understand the 25th Amendment, here's how it would be. There would be a notice sent by a majority of the executive officers. That's basically your cabinet. They would have to send notice to the President Pro Tem, so the leading senator in the Senate, and to the Speaker, that the President was unfit. Now that then would come back. The President could say, I am fit. Then it goes back to the Congress, and they would have to vote and get 2/3 majority that he was unfit, and then the Vice President would take over. Think about what the discussion was around what Rosenstein is claimed to have done. He had discussions about getting a majority of the cabinet. If you didn't have that kind of discussion about wearing a wire, why are you discussing the details of utilizing the 25th Amendment? And so I do think it happened. I do think it is outrageous, and we should be concerned.
I have no doubt it happened. I have no doubt it happened. I'm just wondering if there's a federal statute that Rosenstein would have violated, because remember, executive privilege extends to conversations the president has with his advisors and members of the federal government, the federal apparatus. So now you're violating that in a furtive way. So I don't know. I'm going to research it, and next week we'll have it. But I know more about the 25th Amendment than most people, because I had that in my book, Killing Reagan.
That's right.
And the exact same discussions were held. Exactly what McCabe is saying. So I know McCabe isn't lying about that. McCabe had those discussions, as you rightly pointed out. But so what? They had them with Reagan, because after Reagan was shot and he came back to work, some days he was right on it, and other days he was in the ozone, as anybody would recovering from that kind of a trauma. So there were, at one point, there was a discussion, and it was a hypothetical discussion about, we may have to, if it doesn't come back, which President Reagan did, we may have to look into this 25th Amendment. Here, it's more of a political play, all right? But I don't think that's important. What I think is important is that McCabe may be indicted. That man may be indicted.
I agree. He's already been found to be less than honest. He's also, the motivation behind it is money and clearing his name. But you highlight something that's interesting. That is, do crimes occur when the FBI seeks to do something that aren't justified by the facts or what's going on. I mean, you heard him say he wanted to make sure that the investigation was going forward even after he was out of the FBI. That's unconscionable. Anybody should be afraid of the arrogance, and not only that, but I think it could possibly be an actual obstruction of justice when you are attempting to push an investigation, you don't have the facts to support it. And at that time, they had no basis to suggest even that the president should be, that an investigation should be opened on the president.
Well, and they may have no justification at this time. And that's what we have to see with the Mueller report, and we have to see with the Horowitz report.
It should concern people that the Senate Intelligence Committee, which is loaded with very vocal Democrats, both sides agreed that they found no collusion.
They found nothing. Angus King and a few others on the committee are now backwalking that because the Democrats were so crushed that announcement came out. But if they had something, believe me, it would have leaked out, Brad. You know how they are. It would have been out like that.
That's right.
All right. And that's 2 years with the Senate Intel Committee investigating 200 witnesses under oath. Finally,
that's right.
State of emergency at the southern border probably will be signed by President Trump over the weekend or tomorrow. What is the effect of that as far as the federal apparatus is concerned?
You know, he's going to do it under a statute that's pretty interesting. It actually gives the president the ability, obviously, to state a national emergency, but a lot of people don't realize that he'll be tied to the budget within the Department of Defense that is set aside for construction projects. So my guess is it hasn't been done yet because they can reallocate and move monies around, but they're going to have to push a lot of money into that particular category under 2808, which is the section he would declare a national emergency. He'll be tied and he'll be relegated to utilizing that specific line item budget.
Yeah, and you know his counsel are pouring over everything, and
yes.
They'll come in, it'll be legally challenged, and then they'll go to the Court of Appeals and all of that stuff, and you just get...
But on the challenge, Bill, on the challenge, you've highlighted this before, but he has almost carte blanche authority.
There's no doubt that they'll win. It's just a matter that the Democrats and the liberals will try to hold it up as long as they can, so that they can ridicule Trump. They can call him a dictator or whatever they want to do. Hey, Brad, as always, you're right on, and even I can understand your analysis, which is very important. And we really appreciate it, all right? Thanks again for helping us out. Okay.